Now, we do have a question from D5K11, a few in fact, who said, what do you think about numerous devs at Blizz recently attacking players and content creators on Reddit and Twitter? I don't think any devs have done stuff in Reddit, if memory serves. I think there have been a few tweets, like I think Jeff Hamilton liked something that was an anti-Asmongold post. Yeah. He goes on to say, I'm shocked they can do this to begin with, especially now. I think a very easy way to look at this that cuts through a bunch of ideology and philosophizing about it is taking the pragmatist angle. Yeah. And it's something I would just want to do for a sec because, people can talk till the cows come home about every, aspect of this issue regarding Asmongold. But let's just be pragmatic for a second and deal with reality, because no matter where you want to go, reality is where it's what we've got and what we have to deal with. It's like the is and heart thing. Talk shit, get hit. Just because we have, some staff and an office and some numbers, that doesn't mean that somebody can just pop up to us and say, hey, clickbait trash, all lies. And then 20,000 people end up thinking we're a bunch of, shit people. I'm not going to be like, oh, it would be irresponsible of me to, actually stand by the work of the people who work here. Fuck that. Fuck that. And I literally, I don't give a shit what people, there's people who gave us shit for, oh, I can't believe you did that. The channel's so much smaller. I don't give a shit. I literally don't. I don't. You talk mad shit about not only myself, but far more importantly, the work of our team. You don't just got to do that. And pragmatically, let's just take another angle. Pragmatically, as a business owner, do you think it's really okay and responsible for me in the capacity of what I have to do to steer this ship to just let people talk mad shit about what we do? Yeah, so that's one. That's applying a little bit of pragmatism and reality to our current situation. And yeah, some people will go and give isn't shit. And I mean, if you look at the video, it has a lot of dislikes and a lot of comments that are not particularly charitable towards him. If I went and did a video that was utter bullshit, I too would expect to get a bunch of ire from people. Asmongold is likely several orders of magnitude larger than us. Yeah. I mean, our stream is this is the largest stream we've ever had today. It's usually a smaller stream than this, and he's multiple times. So let's just say I go and start trying to talk mad shit about Asmongold. Yeah, I'm probably gonna, if what I'm saying is off base, as say like Isn's was, I'm gonna get ratioed to fuck. And what's my perspective going to be there? It's going to be, well, yeah, of course that happened. I'm not stupid. I live in reality. And I think what you've had as we go into this Asmongold situation more recently, all these people on Twitter who, I mean, I think they just enjoy being angry in a way. I think it sustains some of them. And it's like they feel that Asmongold is not a human, that Asmongold is a social issue, that they can then go and, criticize and talk shit about Asmongold as if he was a social issue and not a man. And there you go, right? Do you think it's reasonable for loads of people to say, hey, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a transphobe, and for him to be like okay with that? Now, you could say he could have responded a bit more cordially. If you have a problem with somebody responding in kind, think about your initial communication, who cast the first stone? And, there's all this talk of, the power dynamics and punching down and punching left and right and up and down and everywhere. I don't know, man. If somebody is launching a successful attack upon you, they're going to be using jiu-jitsu, using her own body weight against you, right? So it's very easy, actually. It's very easy for small movements and, things like that to start snowballing and snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. So if enough people just go and say that, Asmongold's stream is, all of these things, it's not a safe space for any of these people to be in. If that goes on for months and months and months and months, and it doesn't have a basis in the reality of a stream right now, which I don't believe it does. And look, there's the odd time, sure, he says an edgy thing, whatever. He says he's an asshole. Like, yeah, sure. I mean, he is a bit of an asshole sometimes, but aren't we all? I mean, I'm certainly an asshole sometimes. I know in the response to the Isn't Heart situation, I was being a bit of a cock, but frankly, it was because I thought that was the appropriate response given the bullshit of his video. That's just how it is. Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing with the Asmongold situation lately has just been so strange to me. It's like you literally go and start poking the hornet's nest. Not to say that Asmongold is the hornet queen and, you know, his stream viewers are in the nest, but like, what did you expect would happen? Are you stupid? We're in a world where like what defines all this streamer shit versus regular celebrities is that when you tweet them, it goes through to their phone. It doesn't go to their social media manager. You're actually dealing with a real person. So yeah, if you talk wild shit about the likes of, you know, a me or a Zach or an anyone, or, you know, because it's, I mean, it's like that for loads of them. For loads of the streamers, obviously people are going to, you know, just respond back as people. Right? And, you know, you can say, oh, just take the high road and ignore it all. Sometimes you can do that. But if the allegations being made against you are serious enough, then, you know, you do have to respond. So that's like one side of the Asmongold thing because, you know, some of his, you know, talk about like pronouns and stuff has, you know, led to some of the devs, right, like liking tweets and stuff. I believe that was wasn't Jared Gillis. It was your man. He's got the Picard.
Is the producer one, is it?
Yeah, he was producer. Adam Hlisky used to work for BlizzWatch and WoW Insider, etc.
So it was, yeah.
Yeah, you know, if you let that shit go on for too long, that's just, you know, the worst contortion of what you say will become the reality of loads of people. I know, like, Asmongold, I don't think he does loads of sponsorships and stuff, but, you know, some people would, so you don't want that shit spreading.
Well, I mean, he's connected to OTK, which is significantly bigger than himself, so if their sponsors are in danger, if people start attacking him, so it's kind of like that. Yeah,
so, you know, I think it is just, honestly, a bunch of whinging babies. I mean, they can have their concerns, but it's the whole thing of, like, you know, oh, I was purposefully inflammatory and uncharitable to another person, and that other person responded in kind, or, you know, responded, it's like, what do you expect? Do you actually feel entitled to have free reign to do and say whatever you want, free from consequence? Like, is the whole thing not that, you know, at least in America, you have an entitlement to freedom of speech, but you do not have an entitlement to freedom of consequences, right? Of course, that is applying to censorship from the government, but it's a principle. So, you know, there's that side of it. There's that side of it. And as for the dev angle, again, that's just where I would go and I'd be pragmatic. If somebody is seen as a pillar of your game's community, whether you like it or not, that is the reality you're dealing with. So think about what you are doing as an employee of your company. I mean, maybe these are just a bunch of people who literally don't understand how some mechanics of the internet work. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's that. But you have to remember too, like, I mean, another thing, like, what if I just went and I started talking mad shit about K-pop, and K-pop Twitter got a handle off it?
Oh, you'd be done.
You know, what would I do? Would I start tweeting about, oh, these terrible K-pop fans are... No, I'd say, well, yeah, I was inflammatory against K-pop people. Of course, I knew what would happen. And that's just the pragmatic angle of it. Now, you can say, oh, well, what does this mean about the culture of that subset of the community? But we got to deal with reality. And if your goal is, you know, if your goal is not to personally vent in a way that gets you off and is satisfying, and it's actually to move stuff forward, then you do stuff in a non-inflammatory, good faith way when you are casting the first stone. So for the devs who, you know, got caught up in that, I mean, yeah, I mean, whoops. Think strategically. if a whole bunch of people, let's just say I, go and I talk mad shit about some K-pop artist. Well, for all of the legions and legions of people who look up to that person, they're gonna be like, well, that's a bit of slighting me too.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a representative of a company and you're doing that, and a bunch of those people are your players, if we think just pragmatically, it's obviously a stupid move.
Of course it is.
Just that.
Yeah,
and that's almost the point. It's like some of the details here like literally don't even matter, because the pragmatic angle is the thing you've got to deal with when the rubber hits the road in real life. And again, I just think whenever people, they're working from home, they're living in Twitter, that just disconnects a person from reality.
I mean, that's the important thing. It's literally just think about the consequences of your actions. Like, what are you doing? What is your intention here?
Yeah.
Because if your intention is to shine a light on someone and their behavior, you don't call them an asshole. That has never worked in the history of all time. Unless it's like maybe like your close friend, you're like, dude, you're being an asshole. That might work. But you don't just go to someone you don't know and go, well, you're being an asshole. Could you stop? It doesn't work that way. It's just about the actual, reality. Like you keep saying, it's reality. It's what are you going to do? You can live in this little fictional bubble and think about how things should be. Oh, well, what's my headcanon for how this exchange will go? Oh, well, obviously I should say this and then this should happen. You're like, well, think about fucking real life.
Yeah.
It's like, things should be substantially better, but they aren't. People should be entirely reasonable at all times, but they aren't. Also, you're not starting in that way, so it's funny. It's funny. Just be reasonable.
Would you say this to that person in real life? Right? Like, pretty easy.
To be fair, if you said it in real life to Asmongold, you'd probably be safer. Like,
it's like there is a bit of an angle there. But again, I think that's covered by the earlier point of pragmatically, if somebody's seen as a pillar of a community and there's a significant overlap between their community and the product that you're making, then that's just a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty simple cut and dry thing, really. And especially in a world, again, these devs should be thinking pragmatically, where people think that they're not being, 9.1.5 certainly helps here, but where people think they're not being listened to and stuff, and then you see a bunch of devs, act like that, it's like, it's a bad look. It's almost regardless of intent and what because the dev in that position is probably just literally thinking about only Asmongold. But that's the thing. They're not actually stopping to think and understand the fullness of their action and how that could be understood from many different people in many different positions and many different perspectives. And you have to do that whenever you're a representative of a company and you realistically do know you have a bunch of Twitter followers and people will know. It's like, just be pragmatic.
Reality's real.
Yeah, don't set yourself up for fail.
Yep. I mean, it actually reminds me of that meme picture that people throw around a lot, which is the cartoon of the dude on a bike and then puts something in between the spokes of his own bike and then blames some external factor for being, on the ground, having fallen off of the bike, for destroying their own bike. You're like, yeah, that's basically what comes to mind every time I see anyone fucking tweet anything.
Yeah.
It's like you've just jammed a pipe in your own fucking spokes.
And like on the Asmon stuff, like if you go into a stream and you start saying a bunch of sexist, transphobic, racist stuff, you will not be able to chat because you'll be banned.
Yep.
Because they moderate that shit. And there's a whole bunch of it. It was like racial dog whistling stuff that they were. I'm pretty sure his mod team were way ahead of the curve, and I think it was under his direction. They were way ahead of the curve on dealing with some of those things. At least from what I understand, it's the sort of thing. I don't know. It's like whenever somebody is streaming every single day, you're going to be able to find, little bits that you can twist in whatever direction. I would always advocate for trying to get an understanding of the totality of somebody's character and thinking, okay, well, maybe that was an edgy joke, but what does this person actually think and advocate for? And, the likes of that. So I don't know. It's obviously a big topic because it's been going on in the community significantly lately, but, I think it should be talked about and talked around. So I hope that's at least maybe a slightly different perspective, trying to bring some of the pragmatism into it. Maybe that's valuable to people.
I mean, that's how I think a lot of people should think, because I feel like people aren't particularly trained to feel specific ways. I mean, Face Tentacle says everyone needs to touch grass sometimes. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. It's a little bit hostile with the directive touch grass, but it's like, yeah, just be pragmatic. Think about a sort of balanced, reasonable way to go about it. Because if you act rash, then I mean, it's not going to be that. There's no reason to act rash, because you're going to be irrational. You're going to be emotional, even if it's not that. It's from some perspective, it's not the correct one. So just behave, basically.
Yeah.
Behave.
So, and that's it. I think a lot of it does come down to, you know, who cast the first stone.
Mm.
And in a lot of cases, it's been people seemingly going at Asmongold. So anyway, whatever. I mean, honestly, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Fucking stupid Twitch drama. It's Twitch. They're a complete garbage company. You can't do it. They can't do a single thing without fucking it up.
Yeah.
Like, part of the reason why we're here on YouTube is just from seeing what it's, at least the PR, and just seeing what things are like for people on Twitch. It seems like Twitch can't friggin' plan their way out of a paper bag.
Oh, I mean, I feel awful for any creators on Twitch, because you're like, I mean, obviously being on YouTube's had its like rough parts sometimes.
But we do have the safe coziness of the big evil advertisement company that's just going to be slow and steady and toe its line and generally be a bit clear in policy and have enough money and be quick thinking enough to, you know, invest in things like content ID. That means that whenever there's music copyright related issues, it's dealt with in a way where your channel doesn't get exploded and just stuff like that.
Yeah. Whereas you go to Twitch and if they ever address any genuine creator concerns, it's usually 6 months after they started and with the most rash, unbelievable decision you could possibly think of.
So weird.
I'd love to know what's going on behind there, because I know there's a lot of people in certain parts of it that are like fully reasonable and decent employees. And you're like, what? Who's running that ship? Like, who's at the steering wheel? I'd love to know.
Yeah.